Sanje Chudam Zoji Jonola Shancha Pada Dana Jobson Agu Chishe Jibi Tonji Lola Benjo Sanje Nabarishu Sanje Chudam Zoji Jonola Shancha Pada Dana Jobson Che Daka Chishe Jibi Tonji Lola Benjo Sanje Nabarishu Sanje Chudam Zoji Jonola Shancha Pada Dana Jobson Che Agu Chishe Jibi Tonji Lola Benjo Sanje Nabarishu. Okay, good evening again. Good evening. Everyone can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Geshe.
Sometimes my, now I call my internet maybe not good. Sometimes you guys do the movie. Okay. Okay. Good evening.
Hi, Geshe.
Good evening, Geshe.
Hi, Mark. Where are you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Geshe.
Okay, maybe you guys internet not very good. Some people just move it. It doesn't move. Anyway, it's wonderful. You know, be able to study. Okay, just a little of this. Okay. Okay, everyone have good motivation to benefit all mother sentient beings. Therefore, I'm going to pray, practice, meditation, whatever you do. It's very important to keep our motivation as much as we can to positive. Therefore, also we're going to do a little bit of meditation. First, you can sit as comfortable as much as you can yourself. The first couple of times, breathing meditation, when you bring in, out, just slowly follow your own breath. Then try to experience the feeling of you right now, the moment. What kind of feeling you have? Some happy feeling, some peaceful feeling, some relaxed feeling. Then the visualization in front of you, any kind of image, Buddha, try to clear and focus. Then feel that clear and clear. Then the Buddha's image. Some blessings come from Buddha's image. It dissolves your body. Feel for all your body. The moment and person right now, if you have some peaceful feeling, share that for all Mother Ascension beings all over the world. If you have some unhappy feeling or something, you think that is called representative for all Mother Ascension beings. Softens you experience right now. It can be representative for all Mother Ascension beings. Sad, happy, sad feelings. Okay. Now slowly, slowly, you can stop. Okay. Sometimes we have, any kind of happy feeling or enjoy feeling, things going well. That time also you can share visualization. Okay, whatever I've experienced to happiness is also for kindness for the all Mother Ascension beings. To also everyone has this kind of experience. Then when we have some difficult situation, any happy, unhappy, sad, some feeling, then that time also I'm experienced for this also all the Mother Ascension beings. I hope no one has this kind of experience. Think like that way. Well, these things are any situation we can use for practice. This is the hard to read as Buddhism we describe for the books. If we follow that way, it become some benefit. Or maybe we don't feel, but it is some benefit for our mind or influence our mind. Therefore, now we study for the tenets. This is a very complicated text because it talks about all different views, different beliefs, different classes. Sometimes it makes more confused. But if you even you can say, what Chita, what Bhagavad Shika, Bhagavad first one, Bhagavad Shika, right? What Bhagavad Shika, basic things, describe, explains, things like that way. Okay, I think my English is finished. You do so. Okay. You go there. You guys, is my voice okay? Not too low?
It's good.
Okay, otherwise I put my iPad a little far away. Tenets ganzo chunta de le lau jiga ungu tuya dang ane lojo che le lau shine yamare de semchu chago mare.
So this text, the tenets, is not easy to study and not easily understood. So you should not be discouraged.
Cheta ngana so bena ta shebraka gombaka to zo lojo dan de chigo.
So in these great monasteries where they study philosophies, this is one of the texts they study there.
Cheta de lo mambo. 아니 니마 mambo chega 받으면 나도 드라치 테만 징제나 되 고쳐야 되는 말이나 난 되게 땡땡 가서 투비 바샤 때내 샤그래.
So when they do these intensive studies in the monastery, they study this every day for a long time. And whereas here, we study once a week, and which to understand everything is very difficult, but definitely will leave a good imprint in our mind of having heard and studied about it.
제다양 담성하던데 점담하지마 다 지난 간도 배회가 배제 난들라야 아니 지금 니마 가주 사자 길룩 전화서 뭐 되게 저와 맨로 연출수 삼서 때 말이야 나도 배제 난데 집바 전부 달로 좀 냠냠 바이라고 그래.
And so you might think that the differences of these tenets is similar to the different tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, like the Nyingma, Sakya, Kagyu, and Gelug, like that. But it's not like that. So all the Tibetan tradition of Buddhism, they all follow the Mahayana Buddhism.
아니 다 선지 좀 된데 여기 다추 줄로서 되려야 간지 아니 내때 대화고 야마나 안 테라바다다 아니 다 대화 진보고 냠내서 그 너무 대화 진보고 나와드리겠다 전다 말하면 이쇼 말아와.
So the Shakyamuni taught these two different kind of teachings, like two different vehicles, the Theravada vehicle, the Hinayana vehicle, and the Mahayana vehicle. And so then there came these two different, there comes the different kind of tenets.
제자배나 산지 좀 되게 중고 담보 아니 여와나서 거기다 뒤에 내가 가서 아니 깨대야 아니 단다 빨리 깨지 근데 송사대야 조지겠다 아니 다 데려와서 그러면 이제 대맥을 룩셔야 지는 송마들이 말이.
And so when Buddha Shakyamuni first turned the wheel of Dharma in Varanasi on the Four Noble Truths, he taught in Pali language and also taught to the disciples of the Theravada tradition.
제가 단대가를 하다봤나 스리랑카, 탈린, 캄보디아, 라오스, 버미스 파제 다 든조 파제 되게 진주 노는 거요.
And so nowadays, the practitioners, in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Laos, and so forth, they all follow this Theravada tradition.
다 든조 나라 아니 다 시라마바다 노대반이 디나도 왔다 니도요다. 그게 되하고 매.
So in them, so among them, there are these followers now of the Vairashika school and Sautantika schools. So I don't know which country Buddhism is similar to the Vairashika or the Sautantikas.
되게 단위도 요즘에 하고 매.
And I'm not even sure if they have these terms that they use. Like we are a follower of the Vairashika tenet, and we are a follower of the proponents of the Sautantika tenets.
제가 안주 간줄 마시자 저서 말하면 간줄 배외 루솔라 간줄 배나 부침모지 자다 제요다 자다 제 자다 생각하니 잘하지요. 아니 다는 내된 데빌로 되는 뭐뭐도.
So like when we talk about the translated teachings of the Buddha, the Kanjur, the translated teachings of the Buddha, there are like 108 or 10 volumes of scripture. But in the Theravada tradition, there are not that many scriptures. There are not that many volumes of scriptures.
아니 대나나 단대변나 땡주는 다 시라모도 디발로도 다 맞았다 땡주 좀 다가 뺀다 들으나는 마야 대시간도 용도들이 간지 단내 고들로 다니데 요는 하고 매.
And then the translated commentaries, of Buddha's teaching, there are even more, like 200 something volumes of scripture. And I think that's all mostly, the commentary commented by the great Indian masters on Buddha's teaching. And so I think, I don't know, I'm not sure if, those, the translated commentaries on Buddha's teaching include the Theravada tradition of teaching.
나지 때마다 되는 콜로니바 아니 딱 저런 가도 단다 하고 왔다. 도제대 샤고 부모를 하더니 마음 콜로니베 춘두니 봐서 대갑게 성화대 아니 다 대화 친구 주 송세 깨대야 아니 산게 깨지. 어떤 모습 많이 대 지유들아 땅가도 대화 친구라고 그래.
And then during the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, where Buddha gave teachings on Heart Sutra, on vulture speak in Rajgriha, at that time he taught in the Sanskrit language, and the teaching taught was the Mahayana Buddhism.
다 등조 단대가 요다 배와치 야나치 아니 빈남치 아니 다 부탄 다 재팬 해나면 안 봐시 나한테 요다 하고 매.
And so those countries like Tibet, China, Vietnam, and I don't know, maybe in Bhutan and Japan, they follow the Mahayana tradition of Buddhism.
대다 간제 되는 바데나 아니 지금 오마바 샘 오마 디나라야 샘자마도 오마와 니치까지 오마랑 집아 단지발라고 대다 안중은이야 안중 레시자도 당고는 너도 오마 단지와 이 라고다 근데 다 냠는 거 렉깔고 싫어라.
And so then in the Mahayana tradition, the Mahayana tenet, there are two basically, Chittamatin, mind only school, and the middle way school. And in the middle way school, there are two, Sautantika and Prasangika. And we who follow Tibetan Buddhism, claim ourselves as opponent of the Prasangika Madhyamaka school. But our practice, I don't know, is something else.
제가 그 냠력이 차네 파시 다 아니 지금 내대 대회로 그러나 샤조 소득의 냠력도 제도요 말.
And in terms of the practice, we're not able to do even the practice of the 37 limbs and of the Theravada tradition.
아이 나이는 난 간도 라야라 아니 간도 다 대화 친구냐 마이사지 시리와 다 야보리 때 가와서 보려.
But still we claim ourselves to be the Mahayanist, Mahayana Buddhism, but the follower of the Mahayana Buddhism. Anyway, it's very fortunate that we are able to at least study, even if we are not able to do the practice honestly.
진짜 드네베나 다 배회 나라 팔레고 잡을라야 담보 간지 배회 나라야 나주다야 돼 아니 지 나주 임바지 대나네 다 조니막 때마다 주주 나와야 돼.
And then the Buddhism that came in Tibet, first, of course, it's a Buddhism, but it was, so it's, called the Nyingma tradition, Nyingma.
아니 드네 마르바다 아니 멜라기 주바치 아니 레카주트
And then after that came the other the tradition or lineage, of the Marpa and Milarepa, which is called the Kagyu tradition.
아니 다 드네 되고 그냥 아니 양치 다 사자 고만 남가세 가지. 근데 마야 사자 때마다 따라와 이 말.
And then from that Saja Kongma, the Saja tradition came.
And then 다 로길로 바데 아니 제름버치 다네 아니 양치 싸워서 그나 되더라고요.
And then the Gelugpa, the Gelug tradition, came after Lama Tsongkhapa.
어제도 또 참에 가서 이제 다 나도 참아까지 되게 나한테 나주지니 참아 남바인 발라 대화 친구 냠냠 바 일하고 그래.
And so all these are Tibetan tradition of Buddhism, and they all follow the Mahayana tradition of Buddhism.
제대로 담당원들은 막 샤라마반도 딱 난도 가리는 샤라마반도 되네 그죠? 나도 내려다 자갈을 산지 때마 달서도 해야 돼. 나 준다데.
And so some people might say that there is a connection between the four tenets and the four traditions of the Tibetan Buddhism. It's not like that. The tenets is all different that we're talking about that was taught or established in India.
아니 야 배에 단 산지 좀 내가 나주 마다에 내라야 아니 가서 배에 취대 다 배역 때마다 이 말 배세지. 뭐세.
So before Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching came in Tibet, there was other religion called the Pön or the shamanism. The shamanism is still very popular in Tibet. So like the practice of making the incense offerings and hanging the prayer flags, all this came from the Pön or the shamanism tradition. And then in the Pön or the shamanism tradition, there are two. They call it they name it by black and white. The black shamanism, which I think includes the practice of sacrificing animals and so forth. So it's called black. And the white shamanism, is very similar to Buddhism. And shamanism, that white shamanism, is the one that is popular now in Tibet. I don't think the black shamanism is there anymore. Yeah, so since we're talking about different tradition or different schools of thought, which we call tenets, so it's good to know other things as well. And so there's no big difference in the Nyingma tradition, so Kagyu tradition and so forth. It's just from the guru that was passed down, and there came these different traditions. And so among the four tenets, we have already talked briefly about the Vaibhashika tenet. So there are basically the main points that we have to remember on these each tenets. So of course it's not different. It's not possible, or it's very difficult to memorize the whole text, right? So it's just try to remember the main points.
No,
Okay, so we have already gone through the Vaibhashika. Now we're going to start from the Southern Tika school. And so it's the same thing, and with here, Southern Tika also have, and it's explained in 7 ways. With the 7 points, so this is the same with the Vaibhashika, Southern Tika, Chittamata, and Madhyamika also.
단 생이 세워도 아니 셔라마 말도 간이라 셔라 말 간에 생이 레워도 셔라 노데면 생이라 노데발라는 간이라 라고요. 그래서 생이다 내리고.
So this 7 category is same with all of them. So the first one is called the definition. The definition is like a meaning, right? What is the meaning, of that? Like, what is how do you define Sautantika here? So there's talking about the definition of Sautantika is.
아니 되네 니바데 이어와라 다 오늘 되나 다 퀄리티 나한테 말하고 가지.
It says one who performs Hinayana tenet and accepts both self-cognizer and external objects, right? And it says the Sautantika and exemplify mutually inclusive. And then second one is the divisions, how many kinds of Sautantika schools there are.
아니 숨바데 다 다시라 가르치는 콜란도 되라고 이래서 다 민다요. 거기 차와게 거 말이야.
And the third one is the etymology. Etymology, is like why is so and so is called so and so.
다 저와도 일진돼서는 답이나 일좀 많이 있어야 돼. 아니 담았다니 다 일서야 돼. 일만하고 가세요. 그래서
So the fourth one is the mode of assertion, mode of asserting objects. So what is object and how many kinds of objects are there and so forth.
아니 시와 당가와데 일진세대 다 간지 된데 열도 동에달라 아니 강사금 로칸데 그래서 일진세대.
And the fifth one is the mode of asserting object possessor. So object possessor includes like the mind, sound, and the person. So what kind of mind there are and so forth.
다 되네 두바디 안에 담해진도 써서 아니 다 그런 거 따와로 가르치는 그래 가래 곰 그래 가래 빵 그래.
And then the sixth one is the mode of asserting selflessness. So how is the selflessness explained, and how they assert the selflessness, and what do they have abandoned and so forth.
다 담바데 된리기 안에 다음에 곰발라 되네 아니 지 람만하고 가르치기라 기야요. 계단 가네 예산으로 말씀이 남자세들.
And then on the seventh category, it talks about paths and grounds, what kind of paths and grounds one has to follow, or by meditating on the selflessness, what kind of results on the path and grounds one will achieve.
단 너도마 시험하고라야 네네 생이 자와데 시라마보다 말하고 가는데 이와 말하고 가는데 차상 맞는 때 자고나 되네 가 바꾸고.
So these are the 7 categories, the 7 main points that you have to remember, right? And now is when you talk about the definition, you should try to remember the differences in definition. The definition of the Vaibhashika and definition of Sautantika. What is the difference in definition?
단생이 된다. 다 담보 라리다 슈드니까 켈레베스 테미지 다음에 가다된 도디 세니스 도데바다 upp에다 바테치레스.
And so, like it says again, one who performs the Hinayana tenets and accepts both self-cognizers and external object. And this is Sautantika and exemplifier are mutually inclusive. So now you see the difference between the Vaibhashika and Sautantika. Vaibhashika is the one who doesn't assert self-cognizer, right? And here Sautantika accepts the self-cognizer. And accepting the external object, they both are same. And the meaning of the external object is also same. And then also same in propounding the Hinayana tenets.
And
Sautantika and exemplifier are mutually inclusive. It says there's a tenet, like a tenet school of belief, called exemplifier. So you can either call that, exemplifier or Sautantika. It's the same.
So the
Sautantika school explains the things with examples. So it says this is like this, for example, like that. So example. So gives another examples like that. Says, for example, all the people are same in wanting to be happy and not wanting any sufferings, right? For example, myself. Like, so you can give so all sentient beings are similar to me, because they are all same or similar to me, and as wanting and as in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. That's easy to understand, right?
And it just say yours, Penangatawa. Ya, Shasho Pata Napoyores, Penat and the Ricatawa, or the patient.
So you can say, the Westerners have a blonde hair, like me, you can say. And the Easterners have a black hair, like big.
Right? Oh, Petuja, Pena, da, the Mutabareta, Karatana, Karadashimutoshiman, Pena, Pamashiro. Dramatabari, Cardina, Pumbachibaru, Pumatabari, Tedosh.
So it says sound is impermanent, just like the pot or the vase is impermanent. And then the second category is about definition, the division. And so there are two divisions, Sauthentica following scriptures and Sauthentica following reason.
And the Tambo Tongoman Zete and the Louis Iniga Tambaji, Louis Woman Zete, so and the Sharama vision that so that Jasha Channel Kelaman, so and the tea and so on Haji Jalan Jason Namjama Somainza, and the repeated Lungido Devas.
And then example of the former, which is the following scripture, is a Sauthentica who follows the Abhidhamma Kosha. So the Abhidhamma Kosha, is the text written by Vasubandhu, and that explains mostly about the Sauthentica teachings. An example of the letter is the Nibada Shara. Nibadi Shara.
Nibada Tatama dead inside.
And then, so that's the example of these. So the later one is the one who follows the 7 treatises on valid cognition. So that's the following reasoning.
Kanata, Nipati can to Pate Dawater, and then some Namjets, Tegan, Pa Geshe Chene, and it teach you and Marva do or tell some dedula. Some dead in the Sam Namjet Namje to Ripatina Nagota.
So the treatise on the valid cognition, composed by the glorious Chandrakriti, is all about valid cognition and it's all about reasoning. So it's always, applying the reasons to prove so and so. And so these are all, taught by glorious Dharmakriti. And so in the Tibetan tradition of Buddhism, that mainly follows the reasoning, is the text composed by glorious Dharmakriti. And then there's a very famous text called the commentary of valid cognition. The commentary of valid cognition that called Shidhikarsa. And so there are 4 chapters of the commentary of the valid cognition, and that is all explained with the reasons. And so the treatise on the valid cognition is one of the 7 treatises on the valid cognition is one of these 4 chapters. And the theme is that Oh, sorry. The 7 treatises on the valid cognition. So the commentary on the valid cognition is one of the 7 treatises on valid cognition. And then there are other 6 ones.
Okay, that's 다들 특징하는 거. 제가 내 조를 빠장장 요거다 오조 되는 마음 정도를 안 리피지는 것도 되발라 그래.
So because these treatises, on the valid cognition all explains, the reasonings, and therefore, there's the Sautrantika following the reasonings.
그래서 아주 공부를 자사서 다 참을 따위고 갈라 참만 남대 싸워진 따위 그래 참아.
So in the monastery there is this time, in the year when they all monks, from the different monastery come together and debate. It's all about this commentary on the valid cognition.
그래서 아주 변나 유카병가 라이도 좀 대고녀로 유카병가 아주 또냠 로노체 유카병가 지.
And so there are the 5 major texts that they study in the monasteries, in the great monastery, to become a geshe.
제가 찍대 안에 참아코래 찍대.
So one is about valid cognition.
안에 파션 코치래.
And the other one is about the perfection.
안에 오마 코치래.
And the other one is about the middle ways.
안에 이제
And then other is about abhidhammakosha or phenomenology.
안에 셴바치 딴 놀와.
And then the other one is about the disciplines, the rules.
어떤 대nga디 슝카병가세 대맨치 전에 다 디칼이야 주주 뭐 뭐야 봉어요.
So those are the 5 major texts that they study, to become a geshe. And of course, there are other small minor texts that is, that comes on the side.
그래서 네가 싸웠대 또 야가 좀 봐봐 야가 빈주데 가는 거 탐세 시자치 아니 대근 대화 다 배진다 아니 야가든 담을 못 하게 싸워 야가랑 거 참여로.
So the root text of these major studies is all from India, of course, from Indian masters. But then there's the commentary to them, written by many great Tibetan masters. That's what each different monastery follow those texts commented by the great Tibetan masters.
예자샤와나 제다 단다 아니 테마테고 갈아야 아니 테마 남제데 자와 시자진에 델롤 섬틴다고 뭐다 그래.
And so, like the commentary of the valid cognition is a root text. The root text of the commentary of the valid cognition, is written by great Indian master. But then there are so many commentaries to that written by great Tibetan masters.
아니 파션 따위 갈아 좀어 자와 의도지 시자지 지도 정거 시자 아니 저거 뭐다 이거.
And then when you're studying the perfections, which is like the perfection of generosity and the morality, patience, and so forth, all this, when they study, is mainly based on the root text, the Abhidhammakosha, Abhisamaya Lankara, or the ornament of clear realization. And then when it is commented, in the form of a practice, and then it's the great exposition of the great the stages of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa.
아니 오마타베가라는 오만 주파 빠데 다베송 대자와시 야지네 하소 다베리.
And then when you're studying the middle way, it is mainly following the text written by Chandakirti. It's called engaging in the middle way.
아니 가로 너와 타베가라야 아니 너와 도자와 로에 가로 로에 가로 로에 예다 로에 예다고 말해. 같이 좀 주는 너와 도자와서 대시 야진 좀 거래.
And then when studying the text on the Vinaya, the monastic rules, it's there's a text composed by, I think it's yeah, so one of the great master called Yundan Ho, from India. So it's written by him. That's the one that they follow.
아니 단 죄다고는 조사와 루이니가 좀 조사와 시작하지는 않죠.
And then when studying the phenomenology, or the Abhidhamma Kosha, then that's mainly following the text by Vasubandhu called Abhidhamma Kosha. Yeah, so it's called Acharya Gunaparva, the one who composed the teachings on the Vinaya.
Okay.
And so like that, there are so many commentaries, hundreds and thousands of commentaries written on these root texts by great Indian and Tibetan masters.
Okay, that's it. That lungu tema karo repeat
So anyway, we just came into all this discussion about all this text from this second category, second division of the Sautantika school, the one who's following the reasonings. So now there is the difference in terms of the division also, right? In the Vaibhashika and Sautantika. So if you have forgotten now, the division of the Vaibhashika school, then you can go back and look at it again. The etymology, says they are called Sutra Sautantika because they propound tenets following the sutras of the Buddha. And they are called exemplifier because they like to explain all phenomena by means of examples. So etymology, is just, why such and such is called so and so, like that, right? So it's called like that because of this, So we all follow, even the Mahayanas, follow Buddha's sutra, right? So it doesn't mean that Mahayanas are Sautantikan, the proponent of the Sautantika school. But anyway, so it's just etymology. That's what it means. Like it's not necessary, to be provided, by that explanation, like a definition. If it's a definition, then it has to be provided by that meaning.
And they told them, 인제 켈레게 왔지 봐야 맞지 지기다 나 켈레게 나 다나 지기 코바 요다 제도 가로지 미참이 고야로 왜 봐나 고 다치 오잖아 봐
알레네
디찬이 아니 도디 봐나 좀 전에 지든 란디 시에요 좀 전에 가서와 다나지 제도 고라지 남주 가로 드네 장장 시에 되게 다 인사로 디찬이 고 남지 안 맞죠 심어도 멤버 그냥 말해.
Yeah, so maybe in this case, Sautantika they propound. So they propound or they announce, themselves, saying, "Oh, we always follow Buddha Sutra. We always follow Buddha Sutra," and so that's why maybe they are called the follower of the Buddha Sutra, Sautantika. But doesn't mean that everybody who follows Buddha Sutra, is a Sautantika. The others maybe don't announce, so much, but they still follow Buddha Sutra, but they don't announce. So maybe because the Sautantikas they announce to all the people and everybody. That's why they maybe call themselves as a Sautantika. Anyway, so exemplifier, we already understood that, right? So explain all the phenomena by means of examples. And now the fourth one is the mode of asserting objects. This is definition of an extent existence. A definition of existence is that which is realized by valid cognition. That which is realized by valid cognition is the definition of existence. And when divided, there are two existence: conventional truth and ultimate truth. And so the definition of the existence is that which is realized by valid cognition. That which is realized by valid cognition. So if it exists, it has to be realized by valid cognition, some kind of valid cognition, right? Not everybody's valid cognition, but some kind of valid cognition has to realize it, has to realize it. And so if it is not realized by valid cognition, then it doesn't exist. So and then when it says division, when the existence are divided, there are two, conventional truth and ultimate truths. And then the definition of an ultimate truth is a phenomena that is able to perform a function ultimately. So ultimate truth, truly existent, thing, product, from impermanent phenomena, compounded phenomena, compounded phenomena, substance and specifically characterized phenomena are mutually inclusive. Then is this definition of conventional truth. Is a phenomenon that is not able to perform a function ultimately. And a conventional truth, falsely existence, prominent phenomena, and generally characterized phenomena are mutually inclusive. And it's called the ultimate truth because things exist just like it appears to the direct perceiver. Things exist just like it appears to the direct perceiver. Therefore it's called ultimate truth. So if it is a thing, then it has to be ultimate truth, because the things exist just like they appear, to the valid cognition or direct perceiver. And then the conventional truth, is an object that does not exist, like it appears, to the conceptual mind. So the things, do not exist, like it appears, to the conceptual mind, and therefore it's called falsely existence. So when the thing appears, to the conceptual mind, it appears as in the as a meaning generality, So just like the meaning generality of the object, not just like the object itself, but the meaning generality of the object, and therefore is not like therefore it doesn't exist, like it appears to that conceptual mind.
Okay,
so the prominent phenomena that appears to the conceptual mind, it's not the actual permanent phenomena, but the meaning generality of that permanent phenomena. So therefore, it is not like it appears, to the conceptual mind. So because therefore it doesn't exist like it appears to the conventional, conceptual mind, and therefore it's called the falsely existence, or the conventional truth.
Okay,
So you see the difference now, right? I mean, of course, there's it's not true everything that they say here, but they are different from the southern, Vaibhashika school now, right? The way Vaibhashika school explain about the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, and the way the Sautrantika explain about the ultimate truth and conventional truth.
Okay. 다들 너도 레레 컨디션 잠고치 다들 간지 잠고치 다야 요발라 옛나 가바다 들어가지 다들 내시 작으면 좀 고니 보 슈비르 당가도 내시 자나 배 내가 고투말 아니 패셔 더 요말 마르시 작메스.
And then again, its existence have two divisions: negative phenomena and affirmative phenomena. So I'm not going to explain about this. This is very difficult to understand. No point explaining about it.
And the mother ya 찍다 다되니 어서요. 다들도 한 모치kim도.
And then
마드 야 요나 찍다 다되니.
And then again, so the skipping that part, and then if we go down, in the page 7, the second paragraph, this is again existence have two divisions: the single phenomena and the different phenomena.
단도도 오케이 참고지 다때 고무서 된가도 기면도 다디 오더나 디난 대바다 먹어봐니 따보다 다다바다 이거 대시 예스 단데 녀로 잡오지 내 거서 시다 말아 시래 doktorji no 일치진 도스 말을 갑자
Vale,
일치진 도스 나와 사진 나와디 말을 봐.
Vale, ne karsa dida?
대바다 먹어봐니 따바바다 다다바다 이거 대시.
Vale. And then so this one is also complicated and doesn't make much sense. And so we go down to just before the fifth category. It says past and the future are both permanent. Present and thing are mutually inclusive.
지금 티카나 가우트도 지금 안에 가바다 드바다 지다 타다다 펜도요에서 메어도 당도 대시 작미 된고비에서 봐.
And so above that, it's about the single it's a single phenomena, different phenomena, and negative phenomena, affirmative phenomena. These are sort of helpful, not sort of not helpful, so and very complicated. So we're not going to go through them. And so anyway, so Vaibhashika's way of explaining the two truths and Sautantika's way of explaining the two truths are very different now, right? And so here, whatever is prominent, is conventional truth. Whatever is impermanent, is ultimate truth. So as long as you understand that, that's good enough.
로 된다만 내들 나와다 쳐봐야지 아니 괜찮다 발라 그래 알로 군조 바 또발 나와다 맞아 봐야지 아니 군조도 발라 그래.
And then the other way of explaining is because things that exist just like it appears to the direct perceiver, and therefore it's called ultimate truth. And things do not exist in a way it appears to the conceptual mind, and therefore it's called conventional truth.
다 이거라 다 내바다 먹어마시다 가지 다 내바다 먹으면 따바리 여다 따바리 다따바다 게 보태지래서 내셔 가리자.
And then I'm talking about the three times. It says the past and future are permanent, and the present is mutually inclusive with the thing.
Okay.
So how do you explain that?
You got any plan? Deborah, you have any plan? Maybe Mark has a plan. Mark, are you sleeping there? Oh, he got snoring. Mr. Mark, are you there, or you just pretend that you just sleeping on the side?
I'm here. I just went to the kitchen.
You see, I catch you. Okay. Who has any I say Karut? So Sulayande idea you have?
No one has any idea about this?
What, about what? What was the question? You were just reading the present and thing are mutually inclusive?
Yes.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That present is impermanent.
How you explain? I know that they say.
Yeah, that's what it's saying there, but how do you explain it? Why is present impermanent? And why is past and future permanent?
Deborah, you have something thinking? Ah,
The past and the future can go on forever, right?
no, that's impermanent.
마음보다 네 번이지 더 딱바르시 열었어. 이제는 딱바르시.
맞다. 예전 내 번은 몸 따봐 따다 뭐 되지리.
딱바르시 열었어. 딱바르시 열었어. 또 기름 붓도 그랬어. 네 번은 마음보니 기름 붓도 그랬어.
안 따다와 지르면 로 말해.
So the present doesn't go for a long time?
No. It moments.
Yeah, 다다와도 기름 붓이라요 말했어. 그 계집장 됐어.
간 대바 요만 내 사람 마음 받는 것이 요하로.
So yeah, that's the past is past already, right? And future is yet to come. So how can that?
딱반이 요거로.
But if it is a permanent, it has to exist, right? It has to be present now.
It's not permanent, but it's eternal. There's difference.
Which one? The past and future?
Yeah.
딱봐 말해서.
딱반이 랍도 디볼 빼자 그러는 거 딱반이 랍.
But the scripture says it is a permanent.
It's impermanent, yes, of course, because it can change, but it can still be eternal, right? And so something that exists changing forever.
말이
딱봐랬어. 가서 딱봐 말했어. 이제 더 가서 완전히 더 가서 더 못하는 데 열었어.
딱반이 랍도 하네.
That's what we have to accept. Right? We have to accept the text, which says the future is permanent.
Okay. 당이 좋다. 딱반이 요거 말하는 게 대토.
So Mark, Geshe-la's question is, if it is permanent, does it have to exist or no?
It must exist, yes.
제가 되네 아니 마음 받이 요래다.
So does the future exist?
By that definition, yes.
Yoris.
근데 마음 받이는 요하로 와요.
Future doesn't exist, it's yet to come.
But by that definition, by that logic, it exists.
How does it exist?
Impermanently, you said.
Impermanently?
That's what you said in the definition is.
For the permanent?
Definition.
Again,
Definition
there's no definition for that.
when we speak of permanent, we mean unchanging. So does it change? Well, yes, it's impermanent, but it's eternal. We're talking two different things entirely.
그래서 eternal스는 다 가서 놓아매봐. 그 탐해봐. 여러 대에 딱 말했어.
딱반 일람도 디 벌데.
Yeah, so you are saying that it's not permanent, but the text says it's permanent. You don't accept the text?
I guess I have no choice.
Yeah, you have no choice but to accept that it is permanent. But Geshe is just asking you, why is it permanent? How is it permanent?
Anyway,
so
it's okay.
That if it is permanent, it has to exist, right?
Right.
But it doesn't exist. It's yet to come.
So
what
then the only choice then would be it hasn't yet been cognized.
Yeah, so it doesn't exist.
By that definition, if something is not cognized, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, so that mean you mean the future doesn't exist?
I didn't say I agreed with the definition.
You have to get it.
No, but what's your answer to the future existing or not?
The honest answer is I think all three exist as one, but it's a question of cognition, but I can't explain it properly.
You just have to say yes or no. Does the future exist or
no? Yeah. That's good. I'm just kidding. They go new tower. So Ben go new tower. The Quran get some taru.
Did you have something, Jennifer?
Well, not really. I mean, I was just thinking about, so the past of the object is permanent because it exists as a state of destructiveness at the time of the present of the object. So it has to be permanent because it's unchanging.
The past of the thing is permanent because it's unchanging?
Yes. At the time of the object, the present time of the object, the past of it is permanent because that is unchanging. That can't change.
아니 유기 값이 요 말했어. 유기 값이 요 말했어. 나 유기 값이 매번 코다 요 말했어 콜라. 그 줘도 요 말했어. 디저 코다 버렸어.
제가 롱라고 다 버려.
What about the rabbit's horn? Is it permanent?
It's non-existent.
Yeah, you can say that way. Yeah, they kind of don't you have something to say? You don't have that. It's okay. And in Deba said, Takaji, Deba said the kind of Pecha of Bena, Yuchila Shawayana, and the Nugutawati and the Jeche Sony, Jesimi Nigga and the Tikiji Niba Shiba like the Shiba and Jiba. On Jibi Chate and then Debarella, the Tabares.
The moral over the garden.
More than all the shout, more than Toshati.
Can this Nugu Debadi?
New Debde, Nigga Jeche Sony, Jeseni, and Shiba, Jibi Chate. Shiba.
This is how it is explained. Very similar to what Jennifer said. Like a sprout, right? The sprout of the crops, the sprout. It disintegrates, by depending on cause and condition, right? So that disintegration, is past, So by depending on the cause and condition, it disintegrates. So that disintegration, is past, right? And so that is a permanent.
아니 내가 아니 다 레지 제제 마사미 온가 마키와 차지로 호텔안 이 마고 봐스.
And then the sprout that is not born yet, that is not produced or born yet because of not having the cause and condition come together. So that is the future.
다 내가 제네 망가와디 다다와레스.
And then the sprout that is born, that is grown, but it has not yet disintegrated. That's present. And so that which is included by time, which is the present. So included in time is a present, and therefore that's a thing.
And then
it says that's because the past and future are not included by time, therefore it's permanent.
But the Koran Deshi Jadar, Tilipa Jizem Momusha, she doesn't Deshi Momuja, Gobiam Shratatumat, Tenido Konida.
So that is the explanation of this authentic school. Doesn't mean it has to be true, but that's how they explain it, right?
Okay. That didn't charge out, that is summary. Okay, like that, okay. And the Juma the Gazo Tesma and Ronandina Barata Sama called the road, Shadang of Lurical and Rosamar, and Nengayo.
And then now the next part is the mode of object possessor. And so that one has a little bit more extensive explanation. Very similar to the mind and awareness that we studied about many times, right? Or long time ago, some time ago. And so, but it is very, crucial part. So therefore, I think we'll spend more time on that later.
Okay. Homework.
So now going back to the homework, what was our homework last week?
Who has homework? Mark, do you have homework? You forgot? Are you kitchen?
I thought you were going to ask Jennifer first.
Jennifer has, Bob has.
Yeah, so the question was, according to the Vaibhashikas, if it exists, is it necessary to be abandoned? If it is, do all the practices to be adopted have to be abandoned? Does the view and the collection of merit have to be abandoned?
Okay, that's good. Okay, what's the answer? Who has the answer? Who has the answer? Raise your hand. Okay. Yes, no. Right?
No.
Okay. Okay, give me example.
Just the diluted and the non-diluted obstacles are to be abandoned, but other things don't have to be abandoned. Like collection of merit doesn't have to be abandoned because it's not a diluted obstacle.
And then
but don't they get abandoned when you become enlightened? When you achieve the nirvana without a remainder.
No, they don't get abandoned, they just cease. When you have nirvana without remainder, you see everything ceases.
And it did riba jinche udurwa.
Riba jinche da ko ga duwa ma pangyo ma. It's not destroyed, right?
It's not destroyed by abandoning it. It just ceases.
God was Papa.
It's a mevesh.
Medowers. Yeah, medowers and a pangyomas. Hardy.
And that's one of the
So during the liberation without the remainder, the accumulation of merit is to be adopted or to be abandoned?
Neither one, it just ceases. The mental continuum ceases, so everything.
The paya mare nyamleja mares, langja mare, lang torja mares.
Nyamdalaja marve.
Langja mares.
Laja imbata gewa imbisha.
So it is to be adopted because it is a virtue, it's the meritorious.
Gewa na nyamdalaja go marve.
If it's a virtue, doesn't it have to be adopted?
It has to be adopted before nirvana without remainder. And then when you reach nirvana without remainder, the mental continuum ceases, so there's nothing.
아니 그 펜도요 말해.
그 펜도요 말해. 다 차서. So when you achieve liberation, I mean liberation without remainder, the virtue is no use to you, right?
Right.
It's not useful to you anymore.
No.
It doesn't do anything good or bad, right?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
But
Who can debate about that?
It's not abandoned using an opponent power to abandon it.
So the liberation without remainder, do they abandon the non-diluted obstacles or no?
Then it depends. If it's the hearer, then they don't abandon the non-diluted obstacles. They abandon just the diluted obstacles. And if it's the Buddha, they abandon the non-diluted obstacles.
So the Buddha abandons the non-diluted obstacles, right?
Right.
The Buddha without remainder, and abandons the non-diluted obstacles, right?
Right.
So do they abandon by applying antidotes?
Oh.
Okay. Good. Good thinking.
Not by applying an antidote.
But it's abandoned without applying the antidotes?
No, it's not abandoned then.
Okay. Good. How about Deborah? What do you think?
Well, my answer was much more simplistic. I just said that Vaibhashikas abandon conception of self, but they don't abandon conception of external objects because they see them as truly existent.
The conception of external object is abandoned?
No, it is not. Is not abandoned because they think external objects are truly existent, so they don't need to abandon any sort of conception about them, or conception or seeing them as truly existent, having a self.
The chirogi yugi da tokbajora. The tokbadi the chirogi tokbadi mapamores. Payamare. Kasin chirogi yudu yaresores. The chirogi yugi tokbajora. Chirogi yudu tokbajora.
Ale te toba jana de kaza me wish.
Toba jana de kaza me was. We're talking about the nirvana without gender, right, Deva?
Yes. Okay. Well, I was talking about nirvana with remainder.
Okay. What about nirvana without remainder? Do they have conception or no?
Well,
the nirvana without remainder doesn't have any conception, right?
Right.
Because it's already ceased to exist.
Right.
Then what are you talking about?
Nirvana with remainder.
We're talking about the without remainder.
Well, the question doesn't make sense because it's nothing's existent anymore according to their view.
So
what about then the remainder? I mean, liberation without remainder. Is it an object to be achieved or no?
That's a good question. Is it an object? Is it an object or not? I don't think it's an object. It's not.
So remainder the So is something to be adopted, something to achieve? No.
Yes.
Is something to be achieved? No.
So I would say that it's something to be achieved before one's achieved it, and after one's achieved it, then there's no conception to aim for because it's achieved.
So if it is achieved, if it's to be achieved, then it has to be someone who achieves it, right?
It's more someone is trying to achieve it.
No. If it's to be achieved, then it has to have someone who can achieve it, right?
Yes, but once it's achieved, there's no someone.
There's nobody there. There's everybody has ceased at that time.
Yes.
Nobody can achieve that, right? You're gone, you know, that's yeah, so you know this is complicated, but that's what they're saying, you know. So you it's achieved, it's to be achieved, but then you know there's nobody to achieve it, and yeah, so that's why it's complicated, and you know you see that's the difference, you know, that that's explained, that's the difference, you know. You see explained in the Mahayana tenets, where the Mahayana tenet doesn't explain that the person ceases after they achieve the liberation without remainder. So the way they're saying is like it is to be achieved, but there's no one who can achieve it.
Kola mibi nyomo pana koran pawan jogona te koran jogo girwa. Dudela mibi nyomo pana dude pawan jogola. Cheza yutela mibi nyomo pana yute pagona ani kanji nyamsala jaga panja chalu girwa.
가능한 데다 가던데.
가디와. 산제 법이라 두대 밤마가리 두들라 미비 nyomo pa dude pawan jogo시대와. 산제 법이라 두대 밤마가디 티 두콜라 미비 nyomo mal이가 pawan dude pawan jogo시 kan데. Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at exact wordings here. So it says that although the Buddha superior has abandoned all sufferings and its origins without exception, it does not contradict that he still has true suffering in his continuum, right? This is because he has abandoned every single delusion that refers to true suffering. This is what, right?
Oh, cheza. That's Sanjay Pawa Talana. Capital Sanjay Pangre.
So that refers to the true suffering. And it says, so he has abandoned every single delusion that refers to the true suffering, right? Because the Yudala, because the Mibe.
Nomo Pana Yutapan was.
Mama Chana Color de Cola.
Cheda Chena and Sanjay Pangre West. Alterve, Marva.
Marma,
Yetela Mibi Nomo Pana Yutapan West.
You tell me when you want
you to Pango away. Karadana Sanjay Papi, do they let me be Yomopa the Bon Jovis? Do they let me be Yomopana?
You tell me when you want you'll the Pangores.
Oh, did they?
Oh, okay.
The Taradua. Do they let me be Yomopavena? Do the Bon Jovis?
Okay, so abandon every single delusion that refers to true suffering. So, if you abandon the delusion that refers to that object, do you abandon that object?
Yeah, that's good.
Right, so that's the question. So if you abandon a delusion that refers to the object, do you abandon that object? Because he's saying that the delusion that refers to the true suffering, right? So he abandoned all the true suffering because he refers to the, he abandoned the delusion that refers to the true suffering.
Yeah, Jennifer, yes,
right, so
yes.
If you abandon a delusion that refers to that object, do you have to abandon the object also?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if you take a literal reading of the Heart Sutra, right, where it says, you know,
no, don't go Heart Sutra. Don't. You have to stay here, okay? Karena Heart Sutra, tewachi mudu tin roya mane.
Heart Sutra, we're talking about the Mahayana.
You have to stay at this place, okay? You got it? Okay, Jennifer, or you have something to say?
About that question, about if you abandon every single delusion that refers to true suffering, have you abandoned true suffering? Was that the question?
Object said.
So instead of saying the true suffering, Geshe is referring to object. If you abandon delusion that refers to this object, do you abandon the object also?
I think so. So the object is the referent, and the delusion.
I think so. That's good. Then Buddha Pangarevesh. Sanji Pangareve.
So does Buddha abandon Buddha? Because he abandons the delusion that refers to the Buddha. That's how it is relating, you know. The object can be anything, right? So Buddha is also object. So the delusion, you know, that refers to the Buddha is abandoned, right? Delusion that refers to the Buddha is abandoned, right? So Sangela,
Not a referent for delusion.
Yeah. So do you understand, you know, like the delusion referring to the Buddha? What does it mean? Delusion referring to Buddha. I mean, is it English? If it's English, you should understand. If it's not English, the delusion referring to Buddha. So that means, like, you know, delusion, the delusion that's in relation to the Buddha, like thinking of Buddha as existing truly. You know, the taking the Buddha as an object, and then thinking of Buddha as being, you know, existing truly. You know, so in the let's say in the Mahayana, right? So that will be the delusion referring to Buddha. So here it is saying that, you know, if you abandon this, you know, the delusion referring to the true suffering, then you abandon the true suffering, right? Just like that. If you abandon the delusion referring to an object, do you abandon that object? And then the object can be a Buddha also, right? So if you abandon the delusion referring to a Buddha, do you abandon Buddha? And if that is a yes, then do the Buddhas abandon Buddha? Because they have abandoned the delusion referring to Buddha.
Mark, you got it there?
Well, they don't abandon something that's not a delusion. So the way the question is set up is that you're implying that the Buddha is a delusion. I don't agree with the premise.
No, I'm not saying Buddha delusion. I said Buddha abandoned Buddha.
A delusion referring to the Buddha. Delusion referring to Buddha is like I said, like when you think of Buddha as existing truly, or in this case, maybe existing self-sufficiently or substantially.
Then no.
So the thinking of Buddha as existing self-sufficiently or substantially is not abandoned?
In ultimate truth,
in the
yes, it's abandoned. Yes, in the Dharmakaya, yeah, because nothing in the universe has self-existent. Nothing is self-existent. Nothing at all.
You're talking about the Vaibhashika school, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm mixing.
Yeah, don't mix. We stay with the Vaibhashika now.
Well, if maybe I'm very misunderstanding, because I thought that system believed once you reached nirvana, there was no continuity of consciousness. It ended.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You are right. I cannot get there. Nirvana
Yeah, so here we're talking about two kinds of nirvana, right? Nirvana with remainder and nirvana without remainder. What about the someone who have achieved remainder? I mean, the nirvana with remainder, and have abandoned delusions? They're referring to the nirvana with remainder.
There's more thinking, okay? Don't go to other class, okay? You stay there. Cheda tanda de ngado pena sharama we looked ma lokchi. And somebody pay zongani chasimur. Shakale koyur.
It's complicated to refer, I mean, to pause it, right? To pause it. These kind of things, in the Bible school, when you read through them like that.
Okay, that didn't but they chat, touch it home.
Yeah, so you can't come to the conclusion saying this is how it is or this is how it's not. So, but this is how they assert, so we just leave it to them like that.
Yeah, that you make homework.
Okay, next week's homework. So now find out three differences, Find out the three differences. I mean, there are so many differences, right? Just find out three differences between Vaibhashika and Sautantika. So, for example, like the differences of the two truths, right? So, like the Vaibhashika will say, the object, the apprehending, the mind apprehending the object, will disappear or will be gone when the object, is destroyed, or something like that. So like that, right? So that's the difference, So that's what the Vaibhashika says. And what does the Sautantika say about the conventional truth? Like that.
Okay.
So you find out the difference like that.
본바데 찌기도 다돼 있어. 대성다.
나도 디콜라도 쉐베 와든 거.
시에버리나 티칸을 더 지지지다. 본바데 찌기도 다돼 있어.
이거는 때 쉐고서 됐어 먼저.
라 시에가 상야는 시에가 고도 대원의 시는 되거든요.
Yeah, so we talked about we didn't talk about we didn't talk about the single things and the different things, right? Are you guys interested to know about that?
Right.
Because Geshe was raising a question on that. I said we didn't explain about that. So can't ask question about that.
It looks difficult.
We could research it for next class.
Yeah. So okay. So if you want to do it, then okay. Now the question is the vase, right? A vase is a single thing or different thing? Is it a single phenomena or different phenomena? You can do the research and then Geshe will explain next time.
Okay, this is a homework. Okay, if you guys a little bit interested, I can explain. 다 가도 가봐도 들어봐도 공유 사고 쉬워. 내는 건데 또 말이. 지금 다된 가도 좀 어때 시나시.
What do that share camera?
What do that the Lord chin show man. 내가 좀 빼야 상 말안 되고 Lord show man.
So yeah, the negative phenomena and affirmative phenomena is very complicated. So we're not going to go through that. But one single and different, single phenomena and different phenomena, we can go through that next time. But anyway, you can do your, research on that about the vase. Is a single phenomena or different phenomena?
I had a little dog. Carry a little dog. Okay, now we stop. Homework, you got it, right? 2 homeworks. Good. Hey, Kitty. Hey, little dog. Okay.
Saji perki jukching me tok tram ri radling jini de gen padi sange jing dup ming te uwagi drokun nam dag jing la chir pa shug jitsun la me kutse rapten ching nam ka trin le chok chur ge padang lo sam ten pe dren me sasum gi drove mun sel tak tu neg yur chig idam guru ratna mandala kam niryatayami. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chen Rezig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior, the Snowland teachings and transmigratory beings who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion, to the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Majjhana's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the 3 jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious Supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Nigme tse wei ter chen chen resik, dreame ken pe wang po jam pel yang gang chen ke pe tu gen song ka pa lo sang rak pe ja bla so wa de. Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, Damchula.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Damchala.
Sorry to make more
you.
confused.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you. Mark, are you really left?
I'm here.
Okay, just kidding. Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.